if I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, I'd tell him probably just one thing, which is to check your ego. I think that was probably the biggest thing holding me back for many years when I was younger, and it was just like you don't have to kill your ego, you don't have to erase it, but you do have to learn how to control it because I think about how intense I used to go about things and how the way I used to move. And there would be times where I would straight up treat people poorly. I would treat them like I was above them because of my unchecked ego. And like anyone that wasn't on the same sort of path as me, they were in the way, right? And that's not a great way to live your life. You know, of course, you want to have discernment, you want to be around the best possible people that are in line with your goals, but at the same time, you don't want the discerning trait to be your unchecked ego, right? Because it's going to have you looking at people who aren't doing anything wrong to you like they're enemies almost, you know, like ego when it's unchecked is like a liar. It's like a liar, right? It's a huge liar, and it tells you that you might be the smartest, the strongest, and the most capable, and even when you're not, right? Even straight up when you're not. And in my early years, I really didn't care who I was hurting. I really didn't care uh, who I was going against because I had such a strong drive to push forward, and I also had a really high ego. I had that very intense male bravado, right? But I learned over the years that you can win without crushing people. You can win without having to humiliate people or without having to make them feel like they're less than because you decided that they're not on your level, right? And it's something that you decided, right? Like you're treating people poorly based on your perception of them. That is nothing but ego. And so I would say there were two main things that really taught me the humility and started getting my ego in check. Now, the first one is going to be that I started hanging out with people who had way more going on than me, right? So we're talking about more money, more business success, more accolades. There's just no, you can't compete where you can't compare, is something that I've always kind of believed. And so by being in the presence of these people, I got an opportunity to really understand what it was like to just shut up and listen, right? Because nothing that you can say to people like that is really going to add value to them, right? So it's best for you to sit quietly, listen, learn, and above all, check your ego, right? And then when it comes to the second thing that I would do as far as how I got my ego in check, I got into kickboxing, Muay Thai specifically, and I think combat sports for young men is one of the best possible things that they could do. And the reason why I believe that is because what are you going to do when somebody beats your ass? Beat their ass? You can't. They just beat your ass. You know? So the only thing that you can do when you've stepped into the ring with somebody and they flatlined you is you're going to have to say to yourself, I did something wrong. There's something I didn't know. And the only thing that I'm going to have to do from here is shut up and train and improve, right? So a lot of the times I realized that my ego was really just about my own insecurities, where I already felt like in my brain I wasn't enough. I wasn't big enough, strong enough, whatever it was, right? And I took it out on people that I perceived to be weaker than me, right? And that's not a good way to live life, and it's not good for your mental health, and it's also not good for the accomplishment of your actual goals, right? the the real way to accomplish your goals is to get your ego under control. Like, I'm not saying to kill the ego. I'm not saying that you have to stop taking pride and stop thinking that you do have capability or anything like that, right? I'm just saying that you can learn that there's a balance. You can learn to win without making enemies out of people. You can learn to win without thinking that you're just better than everyone because of no other reason than what? Sales success, a degree, whatever it was, right? It's so easy to get caught up in the competition, the rat race of getting to the top of the pyramid, right? And we're all looking for ways to sort of establish ourselves in this hierarchy of life. And as somebody that was, in his opinion, coming from the bottom, I felt like at times I had no choice but to be ruthless or to be intense, right? But what was really the case is I just didn't know any other way to effectively communicate. I didn't know any other way to pursue my goals because I didn't have a mentor that was keeping me in check. I didn't have my own thought process that was keeping me in check, and I wasn't in environments that, humbled me to a sense where there's no way that my ego could run rampant here because they're just going to embarrass me if it does, right? So that's the advice I would give my younger self and to any younger man. If you're in your 20s and you've just finished school, life is going good for you, you're making some strong moves and all that stuff, I would just say learn to make sure that your ego is in check. Understand yourself, understand where you are talented, but understand that other people, while they might not be as talented as you in some areas, they shine in other areas, right? And you don't have the right to treat people as if they're below you because maybe they can't perform at a level that you deem sufficient, right? So, in conclusion, get your ego in check. It'll save your life. It'll make you better in more ways than beyond. And above all, as you create the success you want to create, you'll also have the people around you that will allow you to celebrate it, and you can share it with the people who matter most to you. So I thank God every day that I stumbled into that boxing gym, and I thank God every day that I discovered some of these high-end marketing and sales events because I needed to be in places where there was just no way that I could let my ego run rampant, right? I had to put myself around people to humble myself, to learn more, and to develop myself more without thinking that I was just so much better than everybody, right? So check your ego. Don't kill it, right? But don't survive on it either, right? You can take your ego and you can harness it into real confidence. It just takes time, and it also takes you admitting to yourself that your ego is causing you problems. Because the sooner that you get that together, the sooner that the people around you will notice, right? Like your family will notice, your friends will notice, your girlfriends will notice. Everybody will notice that you are walking around with a genuine confidence now. It's not this loud screaming bravado, it's genuine competency. And that's where you truly become better, right? So get your ego in check. I've been Charles. This is like day 6 or so of this video sprint that I'm doing. Like and subscribe if you liked what you heard, and we'll see you on the next one.